Hi, my name is Brittany. I am a member of the Concussion Resource Center, and today we have Turi and Susan here to talk about iRest. So I'm just going to give you a quick introduction of both of them, and then we'll turn the floor over to them. So Turi, we'll start with her. After graduating from the University of Wisconsin-Madison with a degree in journalism and Scandinavian studies, Turi came to Montana for a summer to work and play under the big sky. That was 27 years ago. Over the years, she has worn many hats, living in Big Sky. She held many positions at Rainbow Ranch Lodge, was production manager at Lone Peak Lookout, taught skiing at Big Sky and Yellowstone Club, and served 4 years as executive director of PSIAASI Northern Rocky Mountain Division. Turi then shifted her focus to yoga, became a certified instructor, and provided administrative and marketing support to Yoga Motion Academy in Bozeman. Over the last 10 years, she's collected additional certifications in mantra, meditation, and iRest yoga nidra. She has worked with the brain injury community via I Love Your Brain Foundation and Concussion Resource Center, and with veteran community via Warriors with Quiet Water and Bozeman Vets Corp. Through all of these experiences, she has enjoyed the diversity of individuals she has had the opportunity to work with, for, and serve. In her free time, she can be found rising with the sun, exploring our incredible mountain environment. So that's Turi. And then Susan. Susan Blackwell Tate has been a student of introspective modalities for over 35 years, along with offering classes in both yoga and meditation since the early 2000s. She was also an instructor in a yoga teacher training for 10 years, both here and abroad. Since 2007, she has also been teaching iRest and a secular guide to meditation of self-inquiry. In addition to becoming a certified iRest instructor, she served a 3-week internship in 2010 at Walter Reed Army Hospital in the Specialized Care Program, working with service members with TBIs and PTSD and other wounds of war. During this time, she also interned at the VA in Washington, D.C. in iRest classes offered in a war-related illness and injury study center program. Along with offering ongoing classes in privates, working one-on-one with individuals for 7 years, Susan was the wellness director at the Station Foundation, a nonprofit which works with members of the military special operations community preparing to transition to civilian life. This includes individualized classes in both yoga and iRest. So I'll turn the floor over to them and have them tell us a little bit about iRest.
Thank you so much, Brittany. Really appreciate that. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Give me just a second. Hopefully this works. Can you see a slide that says iRest Yoga Nidra for meditation? Are we on? All right. So Susan, do you want to start us out? Oh, you're on mute. Oh, wait, no, sorry, there you go.
I believe you were going to start with the next slide.
Okay. There we go. So what is iRest Yoga Nidra meditation? It's an evidence-based, trauma-sensitive practice that weaves together the ancient teachings of yoga along with modern-day psychology and neuroscience for health, healing, and well-being.
Okay, so Dr. Richard Miller he's the mastermind of iRest. And when I met him in 2007, he had been practicing Yoga Nidra, both here and in India, for about 30 years. He's also a psychologist in the Bay Area, and he's been quite a scholar in yoga and Yoga Nidra. What he found was the principles of Yoga Nidra were perfect for sharing with his clients. And so he decided to tweak the Yoga Nidra practice a little bit, and he developed and expanded the practice to create a more Western accessible practice with the languaging beyond the usual yoga community. The thing I always loved about my classes with Richard's teaching is that he doesn't teach just about the beauty of the practice of this ancient practice, but also how and why it works in the brain, body, and feeling of overall wellness. An interesting little story about the name of iRest, which stands for Integrative Restoration. This is a 4,000-year-old practice, Yoga Nidra, which basically means yoga means to yoke together or to learn or to expand, and Nidra means to sleep. So it's sort of an interesting tweak on the words. So the name iRest, or Integrative Restoration, evolved after a 2006 clinical trial at Walter Reed Hospital, working with active members of the military who were suffering extreme post-traumatic stress, concussions, TBIs, and other wounds of war. At the end of this study, it proved to be so successful that the head of the department wanted to integrate it into their ongoing program. He said it was the most successful modality they had used, especially for traumatic brain injury and concussion and the post-traumatic stress. But he asked if they would lose the word yoga, because in 2006, that wasn't a user-friendly word in the military community. So he came up with Integrative Restoration, shortened to iRest, and that's how it was born.
Thank you. Integrative restoration. iRest is integrative in that it heals the various unresolved issues, traumas, and wounds that are present in the body and mind. And it's restorative in that it aids the body and mind in returning to a natural state of functioning. iRest fosters freedom from stress and trauma and helps identify and heal destructive tendencies that may otherwise impede the healing process.
There's been a lot of research done since 2006 in a lot of different areas. It's now used around the world in military locations, in sleep and pain clinics, with first responders, in schools, and in private therapy practices, and many more. Clinically, it has now been proven to reduce post-traumatic stress, anxiety, insomnia, chronic pain, and depression. It has been designed specifically to target core body, mind, and brain skills and functionings that are important to success, resiliency, and well-being in everyday life. They've done MRIs before and after of people who have done long-term practice of iRest, and they've shown that it can actually change certain parts of the brain, specifically the amygdala, which deals with emotions, and the hippocampus, which is memory and behavior. And it assists, and it assists in the reshaping of neural pathways, which can affect emotional self-regulation, ethical decision-making, resiliency, enhancement of cognitive and emotional skills, development of empathy and well-being, and improvement of overall physical and mental health.
So how does it do this? While resting at ease, iRest guides you through a series of inquiries, inviting you to welcome opposites of sensation, breath, emotions, beliefs, images, and memories that naturally arise within your awareness. And as you engage with each experience, you proactively explore actions you can responsively take with respect to what you're experiencing. You also experience yourself as an observer or a witnessing awareness that's an unchanging presence in which your ever-changing experience is unfolding.
Got to get used to that mute. Out beyond ideas of wrongdoing and right doing, there is a field. I'll meet you there. This is a short poem by Rumi that Turi selected, which I think is absolutely perfect for the underlying core principles of iRest. The first one, welcoming, to be with or to invite in is what we call welcoming. So throughout the practice, we want to welcome everything that arises. You can experience feelings or thoughts, memories, emotions, feelings of well-being. But the idea is just to be curious about what's coming in. You want to welcome them in. It's all part of the practice. There's nothing to fix or change. This is a very interesting idea. You don't have to do, fix, or change anything because your essential wholeness is perfect just as it is. Essential wholeness is, if you can imagine that you were exactly how you'd like to be, iRest encourages us to realize that we are perfect just as we are. Your true self or true nature is still calm and whole. Physical sensations, emotions, thoughts, they're all simply perceptions that float in and out, constantly changing within your true nature, your essential wholeness, which is who's aware of all these changing perceptions. Lastly, everything is a messenger. So no matter what comes up, be it joy, sorrow, an itch in your left foot, whatever's happening, as we move through the practice, you may notice all sorts of experiences, all sorts of perceptions arise, but instead of wishing them away, notice them. Be curious about them, as if you were greeting visitors at your front door. Oh, you're here. Well, isn't that interesting? Come on in. So we want to do that with everything that happens within the practice. You might even ask them what they want. You'll be surprised at what comes up. Think of them all as messengers who have been sent to bring you back again and again and again to who you truly are.
The protocol of iRest is a 10-step process. The remainder of the slides is going to go through each step, so I'll just touch on this lightly now so you can kind of see where we're going with it. The first 3 steps are part of an initial relaxation phase, and they may come in any order. It's not necessarily in this 1, 2, 3, but these are in the first 3 steps: our heartfelt desire, intention, and inner resource. Then we move into body sensing, breath sensing, feelings and emotions, thoughts and beliefs, joy and well-being, awareness, and an integration. So again, we'll go through those in the next slides, but just wanted to kind of present this overall process that you can see how it unfolds, and now we'll dig into each of them.
So your heartfelt desire, what is it that you want more than anything? What is it that you crave? To feel whole and calm, to feel healed, to be joyful, to not have anxiety, to feel at peace. Maybe it's world peace. Or perhaps your heartfelt desire is actually for someone else. Quantum physics has proven that thoughts can create, and that's what we're doing here. So we want, you can either experience, step into a feeling of peacefulness and feeling calm, or you can create an actual place. It can be a place you've actually been, or some place that you create with your imagination. And I've just realized I'm sharing more information about your inner resource. So let me step back to the heartfelt desire. So we want we want to place this heartfelt desire into a statement of fact, both in the present tense and the positive. So rather than I am going to feel peaceful, or I want, rather than I will, or I want to feel peaceful, it's I am peaceful. And to take it to be true in this moment. And noticing what that's like, what sensations are present. Claiming your heartfelt desire supports living in an authentic life, allowing you to have the confidence to feel in harmony with yourself and your life.
Intention is a powerful agreement you make with yourself. It nourishes focused attention, motivation, patience, and perseverance. Without intention, the mind is easily distracted and wanders off course. And like a compass, intention can keep you on course. So you may have an intention for your practice as you go into your practice, whether it's to be curious and alert, or maybe it's for deep relaxation. It's really, what is it that brought you here today? And then you may also have intentions that support you in manifesting your heartfelt desire. So there are different ways of approaching intention, but all of them are to keep you on course.
So now we'll speak to the inner resource. So the inner resource, think of it as a sanctuary, your very own personal sanctuary. It's an innate sense of well-being that you may feel, or it could actually be a place that you create, a place where you have these feelings of peace, a feeling at ease. It might be a place you've been before, or a place you create in your imagination. It might be outdoors at a beach, the mountains, or the desert, or indoors, a place of worship, your grandmother's kitchen when you were a small child, or a favorite chair, perhaps even floating on a cloud. But the idea is we want to make it a very tangible, accessible place. So you want to open all your senses. As you imagine yourself there, you want to notice any smells, tastes, anything you hear, or whatever you notice around you, whatever you see. And noticing if you're alone or with others. The special thing about your inner resource is the more you visit, the more quickly you will be able to access this place as being a place of being at ease. It sort of becomes a hardwired part of you that allows you to stay open-hearted, secure, and in control as challenging situations arise.
With body sensing, research shows that regularly practicing body sensing grows the brain-body connection that strengthens neural pathways that enhance learning and cognitive and emotional regulations and states of deep relaxation. It can enhance physical, emotional, mental, and psychological well-being. And practicing body sensing teaches you to tend to messages or cues from your body and mind about your state of health and well-being. And it's helpful to detect these cues when they're subtle before the body has to shout at you. And when we're able to access and respond to the subtle cues, we don't have to wait till the cues get more distressing. And so what body sensing is just rotating your attention around the body, and you may or may not notice anything, and whatever the experience is perfect just as it is. And just to touch on the importance of the body sensing is really woven through the entire practice of iRest. It's a very somatic practice. So you'll notice that in all of the steps, there's this coming back to the felt sense in the body, the felt sense of the inner resource, the felt sense of the heartfelt desire. And so it's more and more getting out of our busy thinking mind and into our body. And this is what helps to calm the busy thinking mind and help us to regulate our nervous system.
So the breath, the next part of the practice. The breath, something I needed to remind myself of before we did this introduction. By focusing on your breath, you begin to note the sensations of the breath, of each inhale and each exhale. And amazing things can happen. If you're giving your full attention to this easy thing of breathing in and out, you can't think about what's for dinner or where you've been. You can only be aware of the sensation of each breath, here in the present moment, one breath at a time. By slowing and deepening your breath, you calm the nervous system, your body relaxes, you calm the thinking mind, there's less confusion. Breathing is one of the quickest ways to help you focus, to come back to balance, and to have calm sensations throughout the body.
So the next step of feelings and emotions, we're receiving our emotions as messengers, noticing what arises. Because when understood, emotions deliver information that help us to respond to circumstances, to keep you in harmony with yourself and the world around you. Research shows that to successfully navigate life, you need to be able to welcome, feel, and name the emotion you're experiencing, as well as describe the feelings that make up your emotional experience. This is where iRest can help, as iRest teaches you to welcome or experience your emotions not as enemies, but as allies that want to be seen, heard, felt, and connected to. They're seeking your attention to help you stop, orient, and access the info you need, not just to survive, but to thrive. And this poem, A Guest House, another one by Rumi, is really reflective of that practice of welcoming them in, the emotion knocking at the door, welcoming it in and receiving it, the message that it has.
The next section of iRest deals with thoughts, beliefs, and memories. It's sort of the cognitive functions of iRest. So during iRest, we learn to welcome in our thoughts, once again as guests, our beliefs about ourselves, our beliefs about others, and our memories. And we're welcoming them all in as messengers, as we spoke of before. As we do this, we can respond, we learn to respond to, rather than react to, all of life's ups and downs. By welcoming them in with a sense of curiosity and noticing that, once again, that somatic experience. When you think of a belief or a memory of something that might have been jarring, you have a visceral experience of that. If you have a belief about yourself, that you're smart or that you're stupid, that you're a woman, that you're a man, that you're large, that you're small, whatever your belief is, you have a visceral experience when you check into that belief. So during,
Oh, I'm sorry, did you have more to say about that? I didn't mean to go ahead.
No, I'm good.
Okay. Joy and well-being. For many people, joy is sought in external objects and accomplishments, such as when I get this car, job, lover, home, or ice cream. Ironically, it's our search for happiness that takes us away from the inherent peace, well-being, and joy that's already present within us. And iRest reveals that joy is always present, although sometimes hidden behind the veil of our thoughts, feelings, and emotions. The true joy exists independent of objects, beliefs, images, and memories. And through iRest, we can go beyond the mind and discover the inner joy and well-being that's already within us, no matter what's happening in our outside life. And it doesn't have to be a reason to feel joy. The joy is already inside of you, waiting to be welcomed to the forefront of your awareness. And when we experience it, even in small amounts, it affects our entire physiology. For some people, the idea of joy is a little too far out on the spectrum. And so another word that we can use in the practice is the word of gratitude. A lot of people can relate to the word of gratitude and tuning into that sense of how you feel when you're grateful for something. So there's other doorways to get to this sense of joy or well-being or gratitude.
So as we go through each of these layers, as was demonstrated by the chart that Turi shared, we eventually get to awareness. And really, there is this feeling or experience of actually melting into being. It's a harder concept to grasp, but the awareness that you experience is the unbreakable and unchanging aspect of yourself that's always at peace, that's always at ease, no matter the circumstance. So it's when you have the feeling that there's no place to go, nothing to do, simply being aware of being aware, simply being.
The last step of the 10-step protocol is integration. And iRest, the idea of the practice overall is to take it into our daily life. So the integration point helps us to take this with us. So while the core principles of iRest are learned and practiced during individual sessions or at home with an audio recording or via Zoom, many ways to access it. It's most effective when it's integrated into every moment of your life. So as you complete your formal practice, you reaffirm your intention, heartfelt desire, and inner resource so that you can take them with you into your day. And you might set an intention to take with you, to stay connected to those as you move out into your day. As Richard Miller likes to say, practicing a little bit and often, so touching into different aspects of it. So that when you are in a challenging situation out in life, you have easier access to it, practicing it to get more familiar with it so that you can then tap into it.
So in the end, we realize how simple life is when we accept this movement and our response to this moment, just as it is, without pretending to be other than who we are. This is grace in action and the culmination of iRest. Dr. Richard Miller. So we're going to move into a short practice. So if you're willing to join us in this practice, I suggest that you find yourself a comfortable way to receive it. You can just sit in a chair, or you may wish to lie down, prop your head up just a little bit, whatever makes you comfortable. Make sure that you're warm, maybe put a blanket over you as your body tends to cool during the practice. but just do whatever you need to do to create an environment where you can be comfortable for about 25 minutes. I'll give you a moment to take care of the details.
Susan, can you leave some time at the end for Q&A? So maybe make the practice a little bit shorter so we can have a
Oh,
little
you bet.
time for Q&A.
Okay, so we will be having a 15-minute practice.
That would be
So
super. Thank you.
plenty of time for Q&As at the end. So you can continue to make yourself comfortable, but I'm going to just go ahead and begin. So wherever you are, just begin by taking a few breaths. Noticing that sensation of each inhale and each exhale. Just allowing yourself to let go of any expectation you might have, or any expectation you have for the rest of the evening, and just allow yourself to be present for this practice. Noticing all the sensations of the surface that your body is resting on, be it a chair, a bed, the floor. And set an intention for your practice this evening. It can be something you have in mind, something you'd like from the practice, or simply the intention to stay awake, to stay aware, and to be open to whatever arises. And allow yourself to create an inner resource, a place where you feel completely at ease, where you feel at home. Just briefly, if there's a place that comes to mind, you might notice when you're there what smells might be around you, what sounds. Noticing if you're alone in peaceful solitude, or perhaps there's others who support you, real or imagined. Bringing your breath into this inner resource and welcoming in a feeling of being at ease, at peace. Knowing this space is always available to you. And what is your deepest heart's desire? What is it that you might yearn for? And if something comes to mind, and sometimes nothing does, might you place it into a statement of fact as if it were already here, both in the present tense and the positive. So I am at peace rather than I will be at peace. And now setting that aside, let's begin to notice the sensations in the body, noticing the sensation in your mouth and tongue, any sensation in your ears, the inner ears and the ear canals. Notice the sensation in the surface of the nostrils, the sensation of each breath as it moves in and out. Noting sensation in the eyes and forehead, the neck and torso, Be aware of your left arm, hand, and fingers. Right arm, hand, and fingers. The pelvis, the left hip, leg, and foot. Right hip, leg, and foot. And just for a moment, might you be aware of sensation throughout the entire body, the whole body filled with sensation. Coming back to the breath, simply noticing the sensation of each breath, each inhale, breath moving in, each exhale, breath moving out. The body breathing itself. And as you continue to notice the breath, just notice if any emotions or feelings are present. As you welcome whatever arises in, you might notice what physical sensations accompany it. Where are you aware of these sensations, of this emotion? And perhaps welcoming in the opposite of this emotion, or whatever comes to mind. And noticing its sensations. Where in or on the body are you aware of this emotion? And briefly, perhaps welcoming in both emotions at the same time, both sensations simultaneously. And now think for a moment about what an inner strength is that you might have. What is your inner strength? Or what is an inner strength that you might wish to incorporate into your being? And just for a moment, might you imagine yourself in that inner strength? A surrounding or situation where you are in your inner strength, or that inner strength you wish to be part of you. And begin to notice what sensations are present when you're in your inner strength. What is that like? And now moving to the next and deeper layer of joy. Perhaps welcome in a sense of gratitude. Think of one thing that you are truly grateful for in your life. And might you really feel into that gratitude and notice where in or on your body you're aware of this sense of gratitude. What is that like? And now just allow yourself to move into a sense of awareness. You might allow your breath to help bring you to this awareness. And see if you can be aware of being aware just for this moment. And now bringing the practice full circle, allowing yourself to note anything that has arisen during the practice, where you wish to go with what you gained. Just being with everything just as it is. And now bringing yourself back into this moment in time and space. Slowly opening your eyes if they were closed. Coming to seated if you're lying down. And take a few breaths once again. So we have some time for any questions you might have about this amount of information that we've tried to distill. Does anyone have any questions or comments that they would like to address for Turi or I?
I don't know if it's obvious because I just dropped into this out of nowhere, but is this something normal? In the email, I noticed there's the introductory, I think it's 6-week thing, but is this something normally done individually or in a group setting?
That's really a great question. And actually, it can be either. And eventually you can just do it on your own, although it's harder to stay awake that way. But because people do drift off, even though the practice is still working, you do drift off. But both Turi and I have worked both with individuals, and we've both worked with groups. I had an ongoing, for myself personally, I had an ongoing, one of the things I taught was at the Dharma Center. So I had a weekly class that was more of a drop-in. And when I worked with the Station Foundation with the military, I worked with them for a 10-day group, and we did it every day, once or twice a day. So the more you do it, the more you find that your mind calms down and you step into the practice. So, and there's absolutely no wrong way to do it. So, that's the beauty of this practice.
If I were to add just a little something on top of that, is that the beauty of the iRest practice as a self-inquiry is that it can be done in a group setting and still be a really individual practice, because everybody is on their own journey. The instructor is really just offering some invitations, some prompts to welcome in whatever is present. So that's what makes it possible to really share it with a group and still have it be an individual practice.
Well said.
Wondering if you could talk more. I'm sorry if I spoke over someone. Wondering if you could tell us more about the 6-week series and kind of, because wanting it to be a series so it kind of builds on itself is my idea of how it might happen or what might be in store for people.
Yeah, this time we thought we'd move with a series, because when we leave it just as a drop-in, then people come in the middle and it's a little more confusing for them, or we have to sort of step back and repeat things that some other people have already heard. So the idea of this series and sort of dedicating yourself, saying, yes, I will do this, even if you don't make it to every class, is we will be building on the practice. So each class will focus on it'll be the whole practice each time, but each week we'll put more focus on one of these layers that we've been talking about. And we'll start at the beginning and we'll work our way through to the more dense and harder to grasp concepts. And by doing that, you get more and more familiar, and it's that layering on. And then you can ask more questions about specific situations and parts of the practice.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
One
Sounds
little
pretty good.
snippet
If
I would
you know-
add to that one is
Go
the
ahead.
beauty of doing it via Zoom is that you can be in the comfort of your own home, because often after an iRest practice, you can be kind of sleepy. And then if it's during the winter and you have to get in a car and drive, as an instructor, I get concerned about people navigating their way home sometimes. So I really love the ability to teach it on Zoom, where people can be in the comfort of their own home with their own pillows and blankets and comfortable chair, and pets. Often the pets like to snuggle in. So that's one of the really wonderful things about technology and being able to take this practice online. It's really wonderful when we can come together live and meet as a group, but it also works really well in this Zoom format.
Sorry, so what time zone is it the same as this one? Mountain time zone, is it?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Where
That's
are
the
you
time zone
guys?
we're working with.
Or
Sorry?
is that, I said, where are you guys? Is that
Bozeman,
where in Mountain
Montana.
Valley?
We're in
Pardon?
Bozeman, Montana.
Oh, okay. I'm in
So,
Vancouver, so I'm Pacific, but okay, thank you.
yeah, and like Therese said, isn't that wonderful? You could be in Helsinki
Yeah,
in a class, so
totally.
kind of
Thank
sweet.
you. Mhm.
Did you have any other questions about it? How was the practice for you? Did you find it interesting? Did it pique your interest?
For me,
Yeah.
yes. As soon as you started talking about it, I thought, oh my God, this is what I think I've needed for 4.5 years, that
Mhm.
I haven't recovered. And it sounds like everything all in one.
Mhm.
It brought a lot of emotion.
Oh, wonderful.
Do you need more information about the series and how to sign up for it, or do you have what you need for
I
that?
got the link from Kate, so it looks
Perfect.
like I just need to fill it in, and that's it.
Great.
It
Great.
should be fine.
And then built into each of those classes, there will be time if you wanted to ask anything, although we find that at the end of the class, speech isn't really possible most of the time. People are pretty relaxed. So you can always contact me later, and if you with personal questions about the class or the iRest itself, or something that you personally experienced that you might have questions about.
Thank you.
I think part of the beauty of this practice is that it's surprisingly effective, because if you're listening to someone sharing this practice with you, you can focus on that voice and follow instructions, and your mind might wander, and then you acknowledge it and you can just come back to the practice again. So you're not relying on trying to think of nothing. All meditation practices are really valuable, but this one in particular, the whole thing about the brain is you cannot, much to this dismay of millennials, you cannot do two things at the same time. So if you're listening and feeling sensation in your body, you can't be ruminating about some other subject, or, thinking about something else. And surprisingly, things will well up within you that you weren't even expecting. So it's a very interesting practice. I've been doing it since 2007, and it never ceases to amaze me. It's always new, even if I'm listening to the same practice. You have anything to add, Turi?
I don't. I think you touched on a lot. Thank you. Does anybody from the board of the Concussion Resource Center have any questions? We'll really appreciate the opportunity to share this with the concussion community to help people on their healing journey. Physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, whatever it is they're looking for. I think there's aspects of it in the practice.
Yes, thank you. Thank you both for giving us a good in-depth what this is all about. And it was really nice to build a practice at the end, just to get a feel for what it is.
Yeah, yeah. When it's lots of information and no experience, it's kind of hard to grok. The hardest thing about sharing this practice in terms of explaining it is the editing. Trying to distill it down to a digestible amount of information. So.
Well, thank you very much for sharing all this information with us.
You're so
Thank
welcome.
you.
Yeah.
Being here.
All right. Well, if there's no further questions, do you want to touch on just when in case someone sees this recording coming up, when the next series starts and what day it's on?
We will be pulling information about that. We sort of polled people who had been to the class to figure out the time and the day to offer it this time. And when this series ends, it'll be about, the time for holidays. And so we'll be starting the next one up in the new year, and we'll give everyone plenty of notice and see what, since I'll be teaching it, my schedule is pretty open. So we can really, I have the ability to accommodate whatever the masses need if we can agree on a time and space.
Yeah. I think this round is Tuesdays at 5 p.m., right? If I'm remembering right, I think it was Tuesdays at 5.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I have one more.
We'll give that a go and see how that works. Yes, Debbie?
One more question. I have had a concussion, but I have a friend in mind that it sounds like something that would be helpful for her, but she hasn't had a concussion. She's had very similar symptoms, but from stress that's basically impacted her cognitive function. Does this apply for this particular intro? Do you have to have had a concussion? And in general, does iRest, is that specific, or could somebody that just needs stress management do it?
Well, speaking to the iRest part of it, no, it's available and works for everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Yeah.
You don't have to have had a crisis. You could be a happy carrot, get something out of it. So it's really globally accessible in the terms of people. So, and in terms of this offering, I believe it's also offered to folks who are caregivers or support for them. And what do you folks feel? Concussion resource. I'm fine with her joining it. I don't think there's going to be a problem if she'd like to do that. She'd just have to sign up and give the information. So
I'll speak to that a little bit. Is basically it's our priority is people who've had concussions, but the wonderful thing about being Zoom is that we really don't have a limit of how many people can attend. It would be in person, there might be space that's limited. But feel free to share the link with this person, I feel, and have them complete the application. Like I said, it is priority is people who've had concussions, but it sounds like if she could benefit from it, we'd love to help anybody who can benefit.
Thank you. That totally makes sense, of course.
Yeah, what I'll share and how I'll work the classes will be more designed towards what folks who have had concussions, TBIs, have experienced, but really it's, as I said, whatever language we use, the scripts work for everybody. And so I think it'll be just fine. She can enjoy it without having had a concussion.
Debbie, for what it's worth, I have not had a concussion, but I do have a TBI, and it's been very helpful.
Good to know. Thank you.
At least I don't think I've had a concussion.
It's hard to know.
It's really hard to tell some days. Maybe I need one. I don't know.
No, you don't want one.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I came to iRest, as I said, in 2007 because of severe anxiety. Changed my life. Absolutely changed my life. So, you know, it's, and like I said, you could be someone who is a very content and peaceful individual, and they would get as much out of it as anybody else.
So I'd like
And
to add
then-
one more thing to
sorry.
Debbie, as far as, it sounds like your concussion was a while ago. If you want to find, I'm curious what resources you've already found, what you've used to help in your recovery. And if you'd like to reach out to us, you can go online, find our phone number. You'd be talking to me. I'm a speech pathologist and I help a lot of people with cognition, but I've also worked with people with concussions for about 10 years, actually more like 15 years. And there might be some resources that I could recommend as well. So feel free to reach out to me if you'd like some other resources, maybe something you haven't already tried.
Thank you. Is that through the same link in the email that is the concussion
Resource Center
resource center?
at gmail.com is the email address, or then there is a phone number too. But if you want to do the email,
Okay.
we could connect via Zoom if you want to talk face to face or whatever. But I'd love to be able to see what you've already done and see if there's anything else out there that might be
That would be
beneficial.
amazing. Thank you. I feel like I'm kind of getting hopeless. That's why I was so excited when you started talking about what this is, because it sounds like maybe this is the missing piece that
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't even say what they've really tried to fix my brain. They've focused on the physical injuries more than the
Mm-hmm.
give it time, give it time, give it time, or, you know, focus on the PTSD aspect. But yeah, clear. I want my brain back. So that would be great. Thank you.
Sure. Okay.
And then just one more question. For the series, is it an hour session?
Yes.
Okay.
So the practice itself will be from 50 to 55 minutes. We'll just see how every group is different. Some people like to ask questions, or some individuals I know will have questions, but we'll probably start with less time. It's hard to be still for a whole hour sometimes. And then sometimes there's a lot of snoring that goes on in the in-person classes, so, which is just fine. I always tell people, if somebody next to you is snoring, be grateful to them because they're keeping you awake. So there you are.
Thanks again for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank
Thank you.
you. See you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Look forward to it.